Hey guys, my name is Mike Carleo, and this is my introduction to my How to Build Your Chops playlist. And the first thing I want to talk about before we get to any exercises or any songs is about the pick that you use. So we're going to go over pick size and pick companies and what's comfortable for you and what can help you optimize how fast you can play. So the first thing I want to talk about is when I give and recommend picks to my students, it depends on their age and also their playing level. So if we're going to talk about beginner, for little kids between 5 and 8 years old, their hands are relatively smaller than our hands as adults. So I right away automatically recommend jazz picks. Jazz picks are smaller than full-size picks, and for their hands, relatively, it looks and feels like a full size for us. But for them already, that's the perfect size for them. And I notice how they can progress faster with those jazz picks. For adults, it really comes down to whether they like the size of jazz picks or they can use full size because of their hands. But I usually recommend full size mediums to start off with. When you become more advanced, if you're playing electric guitar, I tell you to start moving to the heavy and extra heavy thickness of picks. So now the reason why we always start with mediums is because of the thinness and also the feel of mediums, which is a great starting point. I also use mediums on acoustic guitar because it has that bend for strumming. So if you're doing a lot of strumming, it has that nice slap feeling when you go all the way through the strings. When you're doing a lot of strumming with like an extra heavy pick, it has a little stiff, so it really forces your wrist to be nice and loose. So you have your regular full-size medium. Now when you get more advanced, you can move to a heavy pick, which is the Gibson full size. So when you're playing scales, you can really punch through those strings fast. So the what's it called? The saying I like to use is, hopefully this never comes to it, if you ever get angry and you always hear these stories of people punching through walls. Now, a sheetrock in the room is not really that strong, but if you want to punch through something or go through anything, you want to have a nice strong force. So you want to have a nice, really tough fist and then go through, because that focus point and the force point, the smaller and thicker it is, will be able to bust through things better. So I try to use that type of violent analogy for busting through the strings and playing through the strings. So when you have an extra heavy pick, you have no bend, or a little, very little bend when it comes to that, and then you can really go through the strings better. So that's a little harder when you have those medium picks. Now, the first extra heavy pick that I'm going to recommend is the Dunlop Tortoise extra heavy, which is 1.14 millimeters. This is a great pick because it has this type of coating that has like a grippy type of thing, but no grip added. So it's really cool, and you can use all the sides of it. You have the pointy side and then the rounded side, which Robin Ford uses a lot. I use sometimes for a darker tone. This has a great tone, but I'm going to try to stay away from the tone part. But extra heavy Dunlop is great too. You can also use these stubby big Dunlop ones. It's called Big Stubby. It has a nice divot in there for people with big fingers, so it fits nice in here, and then has a nice tone to it as well. And this can make it really comfortable for you as well to get through your pentatonic scales or your diatonic scales. Then you have like a Jim Pierce, which is like kind of like all three sides of this type of weird triangle. If you can get a good look at that, you can use. So you have a pointy side, a really rounded side, and kind of a roundy pointed side. So this is the roundy side, pointed side, I'm going to flip that around. And then the really rounded side. That's almost no point at all, which is kind of really hard when you're doing scales. And then you have you have another company called Gravity, which is really cool. My student gave me a bunch of these, sent them over as a care package. I'm going to just have two of them. They have a whole bunch of them, but this is called the Classic Standard 2. This has a hole in it for grip as well, so it kind of makes sure so you don't move. This also has a pointed, and then this is like kind of your standard size, but really thick. This is probably like maybe 1.6 or something like that. So this one's great too. And then you have your classic Gravity, which is really thick, probably thicker than that one. This is maybe 1.7 or something. And this one has more of a soft feeling, different tone as well, obviously. And then you have your V-Picks. I'm not really a huge fan of these, but they have 3 pointed sides usually, or 3 different types of sides. And the V-Picks are great because they're very, very thick, and a lot of players use these. I just happen to not be a fan. It doesn't really fit well on my finger. Then you have a little smaller one, which I probably would use. This one has a really pointed side and a kind of rounded pointed side but this is a Gravity one. It's called the Edge, which is based off of the V-Pick. So. Okay, so those are yours. Now, the ones that I like to use, when we go back to the jazz picks, I like the jazz picks because it really helps me focus in on my chops and be able to get them a lot faster. And I noticed how much better I got when I started using the Jazz Ultex 3s. These are my cup of tea. These are my choice. This is my go-to. And I use it pretty much for everything. I use the rounded side for more of a darker tone and the pointed side for a lot of fast passages. Now, it's got the best tone in my opinion as well, but everybody's tone and opinion of tone is different. So you can get a lot of great tones from a lot of great picks, like the ones I just explained now. My favorite happens to be these. My teacher showed me these a long time ago, and ever since then I've been using them. And they came out with, just a couple months ago, a more full-size kind of, it's like an in-between the Jazz and the full-size Ultex jazz picks, which is a little bit bigger. It has a great tone still, and those are great too. I just haven't picked them up yet. So the reason why we use extra heavy picks for an electric guitar to build our chops is because, like I said before, going through the strings with ease without having that bend in there. Now, I know a lot of people who do use medium picks that can still have really, really fast chops, but it makes it a lot easier for people who are just getting involved with trying to get their chops faster with using extra heavy picks. It helps us with our scales. And also helps with our strumming. So it makes our wrist looser. So there's so many things that this can help us with the extra heavy stuff. So making your wrists, but strictly speaking about chops, extra heavy picks are the way to go. And depending on what you really like, if you like that kind of sandpaper feel, you can go for that. If you like this little residue on the tortoises, which I happen to like a lot, I use that from the mediums for acoustic guitar. Those are great. You know, you have the divots, you have the holes, you have the V picks, the Gravity picks, Fender, Gibson. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is what you're comfortable with, and that's the most important part. So I hope this helps, and now we can start getting into a lot of different exercises that I have to help us get our chops better. So if you want to get to know about me more, you can check me out at my website below, michaelcarleo.com, for more information. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to share this video, and I'll see you next time.
Science experiment. Really doubt that they'll understand.